Hey everyone, I hope you have been doing your cars every day, hopefully twice or maybe more. The more the better. Now it's time to refine your cars a little bit more. So I'm going to show you one rep every cars on every joint, and then just try to pay attention to the details and see if you can replicate when you're doing your cars. So starting with your neck. So this is your neck car. So this is the speed, but you're paying attention, right? And going all the way, coming in the middle and resetting. Now, when you do that, two things are important. You're radiating through your body, right? Squeezing every single muscle in your joint and try to stabilize the other joints while you're moving one part of the joint or one like whole joint. So in this case, it's a cervical spine. And also the dense hair. Remember that this is not dense, but you're trying to keep the air dense by 20 to 30%. So when you're moving, through cars, neck cars, you are flexing first. Right, when you're flexing, the back part of your neck is getting stretched and you're radiating through your body, and then you're tracking the clavicle, and then the stretch goes to the other side, it travels. So this side is closing and you should be feeling the parallel to that side, the other side, which is the opening side. You should be feeling the stretch. So starting again, flexing, air dense, tracking the clavicle, listening to the shoulders without lifting this shoulder, and then when you hit that end range of motion, then you are extending. The stretch comes in the front now, and you're going all the way. When you hit the end range of motion, then you listen to the shoulder, and then you come down as much as you can. Now the stretch is traveling from this side of your neck to the back of the neck, and then you listen, and then you track the clavicle, keeping the back part of the neck stretched and reset. So that's your neck car. And for your scapula, you're keeping your hands here. So you are trying to keep the bicep facing as straight as possible instead of moving in and out. So when you're moving, when your bicep is moving this side, the rotation is coming from your shoulder, not from your scapula. So try to like really maintain this, or even this can be another cue. Your elbow pit, it's also facing forward as much as you can. So now hands here. So first, you can start from anywhere. You can start from protraction or elevation, or depression or retraction. So let's start from protraction. So your scapula is protracted, bicep is facing relatively forward, and then you move into elevation. When you move into elevation, make sure you're not jetting your neck forward, and then you're moving into retraction in a circular motion, and then move to depression. And then from depression, you move to retraction, elevation, and protraction. So move into those areas. Now for your shoulders, so irradiating through your body, making a fist with both of your hands. And now first thing is you're going to externally rotate your shoulder. So we are not just rotating at the elbow, we are rotating our whole arm. And when you do that, so fight for it. Your body will want to bring it back to internal rotation, but try to get in more deep into external rotation. Now from here, first thing is you're going to make sure that you bring your right hand or arm closer to the other side. You're adducting your arm, and you're trying to pull your arm as close as you can to the body rather than taking it away. So here, keep pulling, pull, contract your chest if you want, if you can, and reach. When you hit that point and the range of motion, that's when you start bringing back and away from the body to flexion. So when you reach the flexion right here, so you'll hit that point, and from here you start into internal rotation at the shoulder joint. And while you're going into internal rotation, you're also reaching back into extension, right? So you're really trying to get in this internal rotation at the shoulder joint, not the scapula, just at the shoulder joint. Bring it back. You can bring it sorry, bring it behind your lower back, or you can bring it here, but ensure that you are into internal rotation all the time. So let's just say our our hand is behind our back. Now from here, keep that internal rotation, fight for it, and get into extension as much as you can. When you hit that end range of motion of your extension, then you open into external rotation. Now some of you might have a little difficulty into changing from internal to external, or external to internal. So let's just say when you're here, you're moving from internal to external. If you have any pain, you can bypass that, cut the range of motion from extension, come a little bit forward, and then you open. So find those points. If you remember the Pac-Man analogy, so try to figure out your way, so you don't want to go through any pain. So let's resume into extension, hit that end range of motion, get into external rotation as much as you can, fight for extension also, and then when you're bringing it back, when you hit that point, you are getting into more external rotation and also getting into adduction back here. All right, so you don't want to be away from it. You're coming back into adduction, fight for it, and then you finish. So this is how you repeat. Now for your elbow CARs, same concept as for the bicep Q. Keep your biceps facing forward. The moment you do this, the rotation is coming from your shoulder, not from your elbow. So you can look in the mirror if you want, tuck your elbow in from here. Let's just start from your supination, fight for supination, keep into as much supination as you can, fight, 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 fight. Meanwhile, you're radiating through your body. When you hit that point, get into pronation and then tricep extension. So anytime when I'm doing it, I am not moving my bicep, or I'm not moving at the shoulder joint. So please move in from your elbow joint, either it's supination or pronation. Okay, now for your wrist CARs, you can start anywhere, but wherever you start, be consistent with it. So now from here, this might happen when you see this forearm, this might start facing the other way. That means now you're rotating at the elbow. So you are stabilizing it by using your other hand, and now you can only move through your wrist rather than moving from the elbow joint. So let's start here. First inside, and then do extension. When you're extending, try to use all these extensors to pull your fingers closer. Okay, extension, outside, and then into flexion. Anytime when you are going through these CARs, remember, don't flex your fingers, because that's a false interpretation or perception. So just try to keep your fingers and hand in line, and then move through the CARs. Now from here, then you're going to move to your spine. And one you can do standing, and the other you can also do seated. Seated, that locks our pelvis really well. Otherwise, you might be moving from your hips. But if you think you can really control your hips and move from spine, then you can do standing. So hug yourself, radiate through your body, and really flex your T-spine. You're locking your pelvis, your neck is flexed, and now from here you move into rotation horizontally. You keep breathing, so rotating horizontally this way. Rotate, rotate, rotate. When you hit that point right here, then you move into side lateral flexion. This side is expanding, this side is contracting, and now from here, when you hit that point, you extend. So when you're extending, make sure you're not extending from your hips. If you do that, please do seated CARs. Now from here, you're extending from your T-spine. Extend. When you do that, your chest will rise up this way, and breathe and breathe. So when you hit that extension point at the other end, you do side flexion. Now this side is opening, this side is contracting, side flexion. And now from here, you come back to horizontal rotation in the center right here, and then you move up in extension and bring your spine to neutral position, and then you reverse the process. That's your spine CARs. And if you remember, we also did spine flexion and extension. For that to do, if you want to do that also, that's important, so please do that. Now from you starting at the flexion where your lumbar is flexed, your T-spine is flexed, your neck is flexed. So we're going to start the move from the bottom, extending at the lumbar all the way to T-spine and the neck. Okay, from here I'm starting at my lower back, lumbar vertebra, then moving to my T-spine slowly as much as I can control. And when I reach the top of the T-spine, then I'm extending in the neck. And now you reverse the process. Start from your lumbar spine, start flexing. Your lumbar is getting flexed, then moving to T-spine, 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 while you're contracting from here, from your core, and then flex your neck. I'm going to start teaching you how to really segmentally move into flexion and extension. For now, please practice this way. Now we're going to move to our hips. Now for our hips, so if you can hold on to something, some steady object, great. If not, you think you're more confident, then you can use like one dowel or something to hold on to, and one hand on the steady object or both on the dowels. Okay, so whatever you're using, make sure you're transferring your energy into that part also. So it's exactly like our arm when we're moving, starting with the external rotation, adduction, external rotation, internal extension, and vice versa. So from here, we're starting our move. So you're shifting your weight on your left side. You get into external rotation as much as you can, then move into adduction, other side, without bending your knee yet. When you hit that point, you start bending the knee and keeping this external rotation at the hip, and try to go as far as you can. When you hit that point, then open it, get into hip flexion. So when you're doing that, make sure you're not using the other hip. You're stabilizing the other hip, the other pelvis, and now get into flexion. Go as high as you can without bending the other knee. Get into abduction. So from here, when you get into abduction and you want to get into internal rotation, make sure you're not bringing your thighs forward. Try to stay there and try to internally rotate your hip at that point, and then extend, keep your knee bent, squeeze your glutes, contract your glutes. Now big breath in, make sure you're breathing in and out throughout the process. Extension into abduction. So when you're going into abduction, make sure you're not using the other hip. So get into abduction. Once you hit that point, get into external rotation, bring back into flexion here, then get as soon as you can into external rotation, fight for it, and that's your hip CARs. And for your knees, oh, there's one more thing. So this, we are moving the femur, so we're also going to move our pelvis too. So you are stabilizing everything. Now you're going to move at the hip. So irradiate through your body. First you're pushing to one side. When you do that, you feel stretch here, this side is contracting, and then from here, then you move, you're creating a circle because you're doing CARs, right? So you bring forward, and your hip is an extension, squeezing your glutes. Your hip is forward, body is a little behind to counterbalance. So once you hit that, and then you move into other side, lateral flexion. This side is expanding, this side is contracting, and from here then you go into this hip hinge position, okay, and then you come back and reverse the process. So that's for your hips. Now for your knees. So for your for your shin bone for the tibial rotation. So if you're still at this process, at this step, just try to flex your foot. Make sure you're not using ankle rotation. Try to really stabilize this part. You can put your hand here. You see this bone, tibia bone move, or you can also put your hand here and you will feel some kind of movement happening right at this joint, right here. So this is your another marker, and see when it moves. Okay. So this is your internal rotation of the tibia, and this is external rotation. Internal, external. Once, if you think you're confident, then what you can do is put your one arm through the leg, and you can also use the other forearm to stabilize it. Now from here, you get into, let's just say you start with the external rotation, you get into extension, not all the way. Have a little slight bend, flexion at the knee, and then get into internal rotation. There might be a little bit of movement at the ankle joint, but try to mitigate as much as you can. Get into flexion, so you end up into tibial internal rotation, and you can also start either from external or internal, and then you go up, get into external rotation, and then come back. So this is your tibia CARs. And also for the patella, make sure you're pulling the skin, so you're not getting into skin, and actually you're moving the patella. So pull the skin, put your thumb on top, and use these index fingers. So you can move in any way, down and up and down, at any angle. Even you can have a little bit of circular motion, whatever feels okay for you. And when you're doing that, make sure you're not contracting your quads, then this won't move. So try to relax your leg. Okay. Now for the ankles, same thing. Either you can do standing or seated. So start with the flexion, then into eversion, point in. Sorry, eversion is this one, flexion, and then you're getting into like plantar flexion or just pointing forward. Okay, eversion, and you go back, point, and this is inversion or supination, where you can see your sole of the foot and then move, or you can reverse the process. Try to be more smooth. I'm also getting better in this area. After you move from your ankle, it's time for your toes. So first you can really try to spread your toes if you can, and then extend down, keep your lesser toes down, up, bigger toe up, or the opposite. You can lift it up and then play a piano. So you can do various things, whatever you think you can. And if you're not able to separate them, what you can do is you can put your fingers, and while you're putting your fingers, you're also pressing these toes down. Try to contract it while you're lifting the other toe. So this can be a good way in to start doing on your own. All right, I hope this was helpful. Please ask me any questions if you have. I hope you get to do these CARs every day and you make your joints better, and I look forward to seeing you.